Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, on behalf of your Denver-based podcast crew, we appreciate you joining us for the Friendly Vibes.
Coming to you live from TSS Universidad. It's Top Shelf Studios, baby. And we've got a hot guest here for a hot cast. Man, Ryan Ergo is here. I'm so excited for this one, man. It's been months and months that I've been excited to have you on. I saw you in, what was it, the New Faces Advancing?
Semifinals.
Semifinals, dude. This guy crushed his set, and I was like, I have to get this man on the pod. Got to wrangle him. And you're running a room in town, and you're a busy comic, so I was like, we're going to make it work eventually. So I'm so happy you're here with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, brother. Appreciate it.
What is going on in your life, man? What's good? Tell me what's good. What's got you excited recently?
A lot of comedy, a lot of stand up, getting up like 5 times a week or 5 nights a week.
Wow.
Producing a couple of shows. Just trying to be consistent with that, and also just trying to live a normal life too, you know.
Absolutely, dude. Sorry, I'm just getting this adjusted here. We're sounding loud for some reason. We had the heater going before. That's why. Okay. Well, dude, how you're someone that I totally respect in the scene. How long have you been at it?
Doing stand-up? About 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. I did my first mic in like 2016, and then like dabbled and was doing kind of random, like would go back to mics, and I was doing a lot of sketch and improv and stuff like that, but not being consistent. And then about 4 years ago, I just decided to be like start going more hard on stand-up and be like, I'm going to stick with this and not like do one night and then do it again 2 months later or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Was there something that like drew you that direction in particular?
To start doing, because I was sick of like being like, man, I really should do that thing I want to do, you know? And then I like woke up on like, it was my 29th birthday, and I was like, man, like I'm not fulfilled with the way things have been going creatively lately. So I just decided, I was like, I'm going to do this at least for a year. And then if I don't like it, I'm going to stop. So.
And then within that year, what happened?
I sucked for a long time, you know, just like going to open mics, was like fucking terrified, was bombing all the time, wasn't really making any friends. And then, which was actually kind of a helpful thing, to be honest. Like a lot of people go to mics and they like find a clique and they befriend people. I was kind of just like an outcast, or not outcast, but like kind of hanging in the back, doing my set and then leaving. And in a weird way, it kind of helps because I never really, I guess like I was able to just like kind of figure out what was funny or figure out what like audiences were laughing at and not what the back of the room was laughing at.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So you weren't playing to a certain like demographic, and that didn't contain you in what you were trying to like get out of reflecting on your material. Yeah,
I mean, that can happen. I think people start doing comedy, then they make friends, and then like they really, which is good. You want to make friends. We're all social creatures, right? But then you kind of start trying to make the comics laugh, which is a good thing. But that can be like the most fucked up, twisted, like off the rails jokes that like a normal audience might not be super warm to. Anyway, roundabout way of saying it, I was just, you know, spent the first like half year of just like kind of bombing pretty hard and like not knowing what was going on, and something kind of started to click and started to figure some things out, and just, I don't know, from there just like I think I just started to figure things out a little more, and then of course started to make friends and socialize more and kind of value that part.
Did you come from like a theater improv background at all when you said you like were doing that before or whatever?
No, I did improv in college.
Gotcha. Nice.
I wanted to do theater when I was a kid. I tried to, and I kind of sucked at that. And
then you said sketch. Sorry, I crossed over. You sketch and improv.
Yeah. Well, I was doing improv in college, and then I started doing sketch after and like produce shows. I don't know. How long have you been in Denver for?
I was like raised here, but I came back from college in 20, late
cool.
20. Yeah.
Nice. There was a theater called the Bovine Metropolis Theater. Okay. You know, that 16th Street Mall. It was like an improv and sketch theater, and so I used to put like sketch productions on there. And
nice. What does that look like for someone that like has no idea what's a sketch production?
So that was like me and a buddy. We basically wrote 12 to 15 sketches, cast them, and then like did a 3-night run at that theater.
That's sick.
Yeah, it was cool. It was like just kind of a learning experience. Sketch is also very hard to kind of figure out.
And to sell, right, Chris?
Tell us more about sketch.
What's that?
No, it's just...
More about sketch.
It's just an insight. He's just like, we joke about sketch. I think it's a cut of MMSP, right? Or MSSP? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sketch is tough to no, but like it's an abstract thing, right? Because it could be anything.
Yeah.
It's putting you in like a micro story, right? Kind of a deal. I don't know how to describe sketch even.
For sure. And I think what's tough about it is like especially when you're first writing sketches, like it's hard for people to kind of like land, like you think of a cool premise, right? And then you like don't know how to like deliver a quick punchline or something like that. I feel like a novice sketch always is like a way too long of a sketch with not enough payoff. But I think me and my buddy kind of figured it out pretty quickly, and we did 2 runs of 2 different shows, and
that's sick. What was it called?
The first one was called Oh Wow.
Okay.
And the second one was called Much Appeal About Nothing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What were some of the? Can you share any of the? Is there any that would be worth sharing, like the premise or?
Yeah, I mean, there was. I think this was like the first sketch we did. There was like definitely. I think the second show was much better. It was much more refined. But I think where I started to figure out like, and then maybe kind of led to me wanting to do more stand up too. There was a sketch we did. And it was like a 50-second sketch, but it was like me on stage, and I was in a wife beater, and we're a partner beater. I'm sorry. And I was like, I had a remote control, and I was sitting in a chair, and basically there was like 3 beats to the sketch, and I was just like, the sketch was called Hey Babe, and I was like, hey babe, and like speaking to nobody, but I was like, get in here with my TV dinner already. Like it was basically a guy yelling at his spouse.
Yeah.
And it got really like tight and uncomfortable, and the last beat was like, hey babe, get your fucking dainty ass in here with my TV dinner before I cancel your Cosmopolitan subscription. And like the room was so tight and it was so tense, and then the spouse comes in, and it's just my friend Charlie in a wife beater, and we look identical, and that was just like a really fun sketch, because I think everybody was like, oh god, is this like a domestic abuse sketch? And then it became like, for some reason it's funny when like just another dude like who looks like the other dude comes in.
Is it the same guy? Is it not the same guy? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so
it's just
cool.
like for some reason, because they're like gay lovers, it's okay. Just like kind of playing around with like that type of stuff and exploring those themes and creating tension and build up and release and all that stuff. So
hell yeah. Well, that pays value for stand up, right? I mean, those are a lot of the same kind of core tenets of, it seems like joke writing is. Performance, doing the art form.
For sure. And I think it's kind of funny too, because like early on, a lot of my jokes were all like misdirects, like big surprises, which are fun. But then when you like, because I think I was like kind of working off that.
Like a style, like a groove you were settling into type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And being like, oh, because that's fun. Those like big reveals or surprises are super fun in stand up. But when that becomes all of your material, then you're like, oh, and then the audience kind of catches on, and they're like, all right, what, like, how is he going to surprise us? Or like, I don't know, on a longer, like 15-minute set, you can't do 15 minutes of misdirects, you know?
Right. You got nowhere to go.
So,
do you think you can like anymore? Could you just do one-liners?
Could I?
No. I guess. Do you think it's you just got to be that kind of a person to make a certain? Because I don't know. It seems tougher and tougher to have like one style that you'd only do the type of thing.
Oh,
anymore.
you mean just like stick to one-liners? I mean, certainly a lot of people do it. There's people out there who are just one-liner comics. I think that there's like, I don't know. I think you got to be really good at that.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. You're like that much more in the extreme percentile of like terrific at the thing.
Totally.
To get that one style for 15 or an hour even. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, because I think at a shorter set, like I think one-liner, like a decent one-liner comic hits pretty hard. But like to do 45 minutes of that, like that's hard. And how do you even like organize? How do you organize your set in a way
to remember it, or like know where? Yeah, I have no clue. Maybe you just have that unlimited Rolodex and you're just firing them off. But wow,
yeah, some of those comics I feel like are really smart, because one-liner comedy is like pretty intelligent a lot of times, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe they can remember everything, but I don't know. It's tough. It's just definitely not my thing. But I like watching good one-liner comics for sure.
Yeah, they're crazy talent. Do you think there's any like new form of thing that you've seen in the last bit of doing comedy that you could see, even out there in the wild, that it's like, whoa, that's something that didn't exist before or whatever?
Oh, it didn't I don't know. I think you're seeing this like advent or like this reemergence of like bizarre comedy.
Yes, okay.
Like I haven't seen much of him, but you've seen like Casey Rocket before. Like people do you know that?
Yeah, like Noah Reynolds, I feel like has a little bit of that style sort of thing going on.
Yeah. And I noticed, I've said this before, but like if you go to Portland, I've noticed like there's like a ton of bizarre comedy, and I think it's almost because it's like such a progressive place
that they don't want to talk about this. They don't want to hear, but the crowds don't want to hear about social issues or whatever. And so you can just go abstract with it and they love it.
Sure. Yeah. I think because it's so, and don't get me wrong, I like Portland and like I've had some really good times performing there, but like
Ryan, if you look like that and you didn't like Portland, I think that's an affront to your...
I don't know. I've been in Portland where the crowd automatically hates me, but
really?
but no, I think that I don't know. It's like it's such a progressive place, and you're right. There's like a lot of people. Maybe like you if you want to do anything edgy or anything social issues, you better be really good. And I think for some people, it might just be easier or more approachable to be bizarre. And I've seen a lot of that.
Interesting.
So I think as times get a little more wacky, like politically and like how like tense it is, I think we'll probably see more bizarre comedy.
That'd be fun. I think that's fun. I think that's a good bet.
Yeah. What kind of comedy do you like?
I'm trying to think of another style that's emerging, because bizarre is I totally see that point. I think if someone could come up with a way to get at, I guess it's already happening, right? In the last 10 years of like mental health is kind of coming. People are making whole specials about a thing and then diving into, jokes and stories about their experience with their. So maybe more complex human experience matters that people are dealing with, like maybe someone from a world event that's horrible will come out and do an hour about their experience with genocide, or like, I don't know, maybe we'll get more actual human, like we'll go deeper to the well, in like a tougher way. And maybe, I don't know, but then some people will be like, that's a one-man show and not stand up. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I don't know, I think that because it's gotten, I don't know. I think like we've seen a lot of specials, and then there are good specials out there, and then there's like stuff where people are like, "What is that? Like, is this just like kind of trauma dumping, or is this like when people try too hard to have a message, right? Which I could go either way. Like I respect anything anyone wants to do, but at the same time, especially you see this early on in like open mic scene, like somebody doing comedy for like the 5th time, and they're like, "What's my fucking message, man?" Like.
It's like, bro, you're trying to make people laugh.
Totally. And you gotta learn how to do that first. And so I think to try to do comedy without jokes but have a message is like it's kind of backwards. Like you want to do the opposite. So I think that because things are so tense and things are so weird with a lot of people, I think maybe more people are gonna want like silly. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you.
Oh, Chris, how about this? Maybe dad joke comedy, like silly dad comedy will make an emergence. Grandpa joke, old like story email form, street joke comedy will come back.
Street, yeah, you see some of that too. I mean, go to an open mic, you definitely see that.
Yeah, that's facts. Definitely true. So did you grow up here in Colorado?
I grew up in San Francisco. I've been out here for about like 14 years now. So
okay, I see. I was born in Santa Cruz, but we moved here when I was like 1. So I'm
cool.
like cognitively a native. I, wasn't birthed here or whatever.
Sick. Do you ever go back to Santa Cruz? Or?
I've been a few times throughout my life, but yeah, not like no connections back there or anything.
Yeah, my sister lives there. It's so awesome.
One of the most beautiful places on earth. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I honestly, for people who like want to go to California, I feel like it's like such a like nobody talks about Santa Cruz.
Yeah,
but it's like such a cool. Because you got the ocean, but then you got the redwoods and like up in the mountains. It's like a beautiful place, and it's like less. I mean, it's definitely crowded, but it's less crowded than going to like the Bay Area.
Gosh, California. I don't know. I mean, as a Californian, what do you think? Do you think of the state that it's in trouble? I don't know.
I don't
Other
know.
than the
You hear-
natural things and all the other stories, the headlines that you read, I guess, maybe.
I feel like it's really common for you to listen to a podcast and be like, "Oh, watch out for California." It's
Yeah.
You know, I feel like so many people have never been or don't know anything about it. Like, yeah, that place is fucked. You know,
Most places are like other places. My
Yeah.
dad's a pilot. He goes everywhere. He's like, yeah, just so you know, everywhere is like everywhere pretty
Yeah.
much at the end of the day.
I will say I don't ever want to live there again. I might. Who knows? But
Because of the fires.
yeah, because of the fires, you know, and whatever. For me, it was just like growing up there. I was like, when I was 18, I was like, I'm ready to get out of here.
Fly the coop kind of mentality.
Yeah, and there is kind of this. I don't really know about all the other stuff about like politically or whatever. Like people always talk about, like, oh, it's so it's gone so far left,
Corrupt or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Type of assertions that people want to make. Yeah.
I'm not like I don't really know anything about that. More that I just grew up in the Bay Area, and there was like this kind of weird. Kind of a weird energy there, if that makes sense.
What do you mean by that? Yeah, go on that.
Like where
satanic energy?
Yeah, some satanic. I mean, who doesn't worship Satan a little bit? But
do you see any orbs going up there in the sky? Unidentified flying.
I think the weird energy comes from like this. I mean, the Bay Area's changed completely since like the tech boom and everything, and that there's this kind of this strange mix of like affluence and poverty and like, but like I know so many people, no matter what their background is, people like addicted to something, right? Like a lot of drug and alcohol problems. I know that's the case everywhere, but like there's this sort of dark energy where I grew up where like a lot of people kind of fell into something like that and then like never got out of it. I think that's everywhere, but maybe I feel it so much when I'm home. I'm like, I don't want to be around this.
Yeah. Gosh, that is dark energy. Trap of like people's lives falling out under them type of thing.
People stuck in the past too. And like people, I don't know, like, do you know anything about Bay Area rap?
Oh, maybe a little bit, but tell me about it.
Yeah. Like when I grew up, when I was like in middle school, it was like, I was like in 7th grade and it was like, everybody was so like hyped on like Mac Dre, Andre Nicotina, like that whole scene of like, it was like called like Hyphy-Rap.
Hyphy. Do you know this, Chris? Have you heard of this?
I'm familiar with Mac Dre.
Mac Dre's dope.
Yeah. I'm also sure I'm familiar with like the movement that is Hyphy-Rap.
The Hyphy movement, the Fizz movement. And Mac Dre was an incredible artist. He died in like 2005, I think. But then there was like this whole like, it was like one of those things. He was kind of lifting up the scene and he died, and then everybody kind of like lived in his shadow after that. And it was like, of course, there's some talented people after that, but like that scene got so stuck in this movement, and it was real. It was like centered around like getting really fucked up too. And I don't know.
Can only do that for so long, right? A scene like that can only survive for so long.
Yeah, and then
you're
also
speaking of saying like the Bay Area and like the drug kind of undertone of like how can that not tear away at the framework of like the place?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is just like my narrow focused bias thought of it. But I mean, I grew up like when I was like in 7th grade, like not everybody in my middle school, but like everybody in my like area, it was like common for like 7th graders to be getting like fucked up all the time, you know? Maybe this was everywhere. Who knows? This is my experience, though.
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't say so because in my life experience, the only people that I know that weren't like successful outside of school already had like major social issues apparently with their families, have drug issues, and most of those people, and it's only like 2 or 3 are dead.
Yeah.
Of those like 3,000. So like people, I would say no.
Yeah. So we
Where did you grow up, Chris?
Around Boulder area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that that's definitely a 100% different vibe than in places like here. But I mean, also too, Boulder is a relatively, financially.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like where I grew up in the Bay Area, like again, it's like this mix of like affluence and poverty. And so, but like, it's like both sides of the coin. Like a lot of kids with parents.
Sorry, can I? Is it redline? Like there's certain communities and schools that are really good and really bad.
Sure, yeah, there are some schools like that, but like where I went to school, it was like kind of a mix.
Okay.
And then like in some surrounding areas, like honestly, our school didn't even have as bad of like a drug problem, but like some of the wealthiest schools around us had like crazy pill problems, and like this is the height of OxyContin and stuff like that. Like I knew kids in like 8th grade who had like oxy problems and like
whoa.
Yeah, that's a little big.
What year did you graduate high school?
96. No, just kidding. I graduated in 2011.
This guys looks great. Oh my god. Okay.
No, yeah, this was like so. I mean,
5 years forward of us.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I knew a lot of kids with like opiate problems, obviously Oxy and like Xanax, and then like a lot of people like sipping promethazine with codeine, stuff like that. Like, and then there's like this other side where there's kids who had no idea that was going on either. But I think when you have this like some like really wealthy people, like wealthy parents with problems who neglect their kids, they don't see their kids, and then the kids develop these sort of problems, it just creates a really weird culture. So
I think we had a little bit of that weirdness. Yeah, the way he's describing this weird culture, I think we see a little bit of that where we're from too, like a Boulder County area.
Yeah. Did you grow up in Boulder? Or?
We were like in Superior.
Oh yeah.
And then I commuted from Erie and Brighton because my parents got divorced or whatever. So it was like, yeah, but still, even then it's the same.
Yeah.
Same. It's all the same metro spread shit.
But yeah.
Now it expands to the airport.
Yeah.
It's like a unique perspective for millennials, though, almost because like.
Because of the pharmaceutical industry.
Well, no, not necessarily that, but there's such a weird gap between like even the middle class was pretty financially prosperous, like up until like 2008 and the housing market crash and all that. And you could argue that they still are today. But like a lot of like families who were financially well off, like definitely neglected or just didn't pay a lot of attention toward like the family unit, functional, whole, like as a healthy unit. And so I know a lot of kids that grew up in not diverse backgrounds at all that could share that same sense.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Like I get that 100%.
See, I would just think that throughout history, if you were well off, that you would not have a great family. I feel like that's I don't know. My assumption would be that if wealth begets treating your family like shit. Like people, like throughout history, like kings and whatever, like they almost always, I feel like all the stories are of like well-off families that don't have good family, like actual family values or structure. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And then in some cases, I know like plenty of people who had like a stable background with like a great family. So you just never know.
Like stable is the way. I don't know.
For sure.
Whatever that, like make 60 or 70K. Do you get happier from here? Not so much. Like maybe
I think you do though. I think that there's like a certain amount of money. Like people say that like you just need a certain amount of money. I think that like people, if you like,
it's way too low. He's saying.
Yeah. Like if you're like a family and you're making 60K, like,
yeah.
You want some financial stability just so that you're not worried. Right.
For sure.
But then it's the idea that like excessive wealth isn't gonna solve, like if you're not like paying attention to your family or you're not like developing relationships and stuff like that, then I think that's when you get into trouble.
That makes sense to me.
But like at the same time, there are plenty of people very happy on like the lower end of the spectrum of wealth. But I mean, it's kind of hard to deny that if you don't have an income and like you're really struggling and stressed out about things, it causes problems.
Facts. 100% agree. But also like there's this weird fine line of like a snowball of worry of like you do get more wealth or whatever, and then you've got more things to worry about, like you're owning businesses now and whatever else, and now I don't know. It's a weird perspective game. It seems like there's no one that can like kind of make you right. I wish you could, read a book or whatever and be like, oh, now I get it. And I can have the right perspective. But it doesn't seem like really like that.
Yeah.
Not the deal.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Weird conscious human experience we've got here.
Yeah.
Floating on this rock in their brains they don't even understand our brains. That still fascinates me. That they're like, you go to sleep. We don't know what happens.
Yeah.
Your brain's floating in soup and we don't know. We studied it for years and years and no conclusions. It's fascinating, but we're doing it every day, so I guess that's something to be very thankful for.
Yeah, I think that they're figuring out though. I think they're figured out that sleep is pretty good for you though.
I'm with you there. Yeah. I think they're settled. The science is settled on that one, Ryan.
Dude, they discovered a new chain though in like DNA linkages that they think has like actual like physical properties that may produce consciousness. Check that out.
A new chain? What's it called? Look it up, producer. Yeah, come back to that. New chain. What is it? 3 chains now?
Like a piece of the amino acid DNA. They found like something that was previously unknown.
That creates consciousness.
That they think alludes to. It's a theory.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But I just thought that was interesting.
I'd be down. Yeah. Let's find the consciousness. Get that guy in a chair, and I want to talk to consciousness or persons or it being entity. I don't know what the right word would be for consciousness would be. Can you imagine trying to like a good cop, bad cop with consciousness to kind of figure out consciousness? You want to be the good cop or the bad cop, Ryan?
I don't. To be honest, I'd be probably the good cop.
I feel like you'd be
Can't
a good
handle
cop.
people not liking me. So
I just slam my hands. Like, what are you doing? Who are you?
have you
Hey,
seen
man, can I get
True
you coffee?
Detective?
Oh no, dude, not enough of it. I've
season-
seen like a couple episodes because I've been around other buddies that are watching or whatever, but never given a full run through. Everybody says it's like the best shit.
Yeah, I think season 1 is like one of the greatest seasons of television. But Matthew McConaughey's character has like a couple lines about consciousness that are pretty awesome.
I'm gonna have to check that out then for sure. How are we doing on time here? Oh, we're getting close to these wings. Let me see here. Oh, about 5 minutes. About 5 minutes. What do you got on this amino acid, researcher? Anything?
Lots of papers.
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, we're gonna have to have him back on the episode by this point. My goodness, should have came in with the knowledge.
I feel like the more psychedelics I've done, the less I understand anything. And like when it comes to like papers and research, I'm like, how do you corroborate any of this information? Like, how do you confirm any of this?
That's fair.
I think that's completely fair. I was, trying to write an undergraduate dissertation as I got to the finish line. I was like, this is all bullshit. And I wrote that, and then I was like, I've invalidated myself through learning this.
What did you study?
Happiness economics.
What?
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to do an econ, paper. And I was like, happiness economics.
Oh, I see. Okay. I thought that was your major.
Yeah, no, econ. But but then I like get to draw at like religion and philosophy and all these other modalities of study over towards
cool,
it.
Man.
So that's fun. But these smartphones, these little pocket computers are definitely fucking us up, especially the social media. This, Jones effect, keeping up with the Joneses is like in our life way too much.
You think so? You
in
feel
like
that?
Most people's lives too much. I think I've felt it and do feel it at times, but like you do have to recognize it.
Yeah, 100%. It's like a trite thing to say that like our phones are like ruining us, but it's obviously pretty true.
Well, when I studied it, it was cutting edge, folks. Back in 2018. No.
I don't mean to.
No, I'm fucking with you. No, you're not at all. No, you're right. It has kind of become so mainstream that it's like everyone's.
But yet you look around, like, dude, I get like, the other day I was like. I do this all the time. I was like, somebody in my life, I was like, yeah, you really should get off your phone. And then like 5 minutes later, I was like on my phone, like doom scrolling, So it's like, we can act like we're above it, but we're all participating in it.
Totally. Absolutely.
Honestly, I like really respect people who like don't have social media.
Totally. I wish I could do that.
Those poor savages,
Well, social media is so cruel because it's like, no, you want to do a creative thing and put the creative thing out in the world. Now you have to engage with this satanic thing.
Yeah.
And you have to do it regularly because if you don't, the satanic thing won't reward you.
Yeah. Dude, I had that happen recently. I like worked on a project that I was really excited about. We like, I was with my buddy who does film stuff out in LA. And we made a video. We were like so stoked on it. And we put it out on social media. And it did fine, like metric wise, number wise. What I really should have been so stoked on is that like I probably had like 40 to 50 people reach out to me and telling me how much they liked the project. And yet then when I would look at the views and stuff like that, I was like, wait, like why didn't the algorithm reward us? And it's like there was like the most backward. It like really actually like kind of fucked me up for a week. I looked at my phone so much and I was just looking. I was like kept watching the view count go up. And I was like, man, this is not why we should be doing this stuff.
Totally. No, I completely see that. It's backwards and it's a feedback loop that if you don't like cut it off, it eats you. It's because it's free, right? We're the product because we're putting out the stuff or whatever. And I don't know. It seems like it's going to have an implication, especially in these young kids that are 2 years below me, 4 years below me, that have had the technologies so much of their life so early and they can't have a conversation with other people, you know, per capita as much, or they don't want to read the long form thing or see the long form movie or whatever. And it's like, dang, dude, you're going to miss out on so much of human life.
Yeah. Who knows though? I think we could have like a resurgence. I feel like look at culture right now and like look at the things that have come back, like young kids being like into religion and stuff like that. Like,
true.
I feel like there'll probably be a movement, like an anti-tech movement some point. Who knows?
We're gonna get really good homesteaders out of this.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Top tier homesteaders out of this, that's for sure.
There's no land in the homestead.
The Chinese own it all, Chris.
I know.
Stop talking about it. They're buying the farmland. Well, I just think that's crazy that we sell our land to other nations when we have people that don't have homes in this country.
Yeah, is that what's going on? They're selling land to China.
I mean, they've done it for a long time. This isn't like a new thing or whatever. I mean, it's relatively new. The farmland is more new.
Oh, I see. So like people from China are buying up farmland.
Yeah. Like there's corporate interests that own land, especially close to, I think, military bases is what they're mostly concerned with, like across the western United States.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? Probably good things.
Dude, China had a police station in New York for 5 years.
See, that's the kind of stuff where it's like...
And they were like actually like policing their citizens like, on visas and like deporting people and like asking like local citizens like if they had any, like, are these Chinese people acting out of turn? It was crazy.
Whoa.
Stopped it.
Okay. I was gonna say, did they like get sanctioned to do this? Like, what kind of?
And, Yeah.
Okay, that's strange. I don't know. We also have our, intergalactic police stations in every single other country too. So it's like, I mean, what are we supposed to bitch about it? It's crazy world we live in. Let's just hope the aliens don't come and get us all. We should just make the aliens come and make us sing Kumbaya. Even if they have to enslave us to a state where we're all singing Kumbaya and holding hands finally for once. Like, come on, aliens. Do something about it.
You think they're coming?
Who knows? I'd be down. I mean, these orbs in the sky that we see on live news. Have you seen any of these?
Dude, I'm so disconnected from like so much of this stuff.
That's fine, dude. That's cool. I don't have to. I'll stop.
No,
with the shit.
I'm not even like against hearing about it. I'm just like, when I hear people talking about it, I'm like, where is everyone getting this?
I think honestly, I think it's one of the. Yeah, that's a great point. There's the mirror. Hey, there. Hang on.
Stuff about like government issued like statements, like not even relative to videos and stuff that could give you some precedence as to whether or not you think it's legit.
Yeah, no, I like.
But like he's saying, I think you have a better point of like, maybe it's one of those things where if you know about it, you're seeking it out, type of a thing.
Mass hysteria could easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
but when you get government attention,
we have to eat chicken. All right. We also have to get you a microphone so you don't sound like you're in a closet over there talking long sentences. Yeah. Well, okay, we'll figure it out. I'm sorry. I repent for this. I'll do better. Ryan, have you listened to radio before in your life?
Listen to the radio?
Yeah. The AMs and the FMs?
Yeah, of course.
The best. Do you have a favorite station growing up?
I listened to 94.9, which is the hip hop station in the Bay Area.
Nice.
And then I listened to Live 105, which was the alternative rock station.
That was my kind of a station growing up here. And, well, I'm going to kick us to break, and we're going to eat chicken with our signature station identification. You're listening to 91.1. Oh, shit, was that another plane? We'll be right back. We're back. We're live. It's the After Hours show. Please go ahead. Sorry.
And that's when I told my father I just couldn't do it anymore, and
that you'd have to raise your right hand.
No, to answer your question, I didn't see any kids in the clubs in Berlin. I think that most clubs you go to, there's a bouncer who like
not the vibe. This is the vibe from kids.
Yeah, like you have to, like, most clubs you get into, you like, there's a guy who like looks at you and is like, yeah, you can come in, or no. And they do it like
he's the kid weeder outer.
Yeah, honestly. And just like kind of annoying tourists and stuff like that. There's a reason why their club culture is pretty strong, is because and it would probably they would get sued if they did something like that here.
Right.
For discrimination and stuff like that. But I don't think I'm sure it happens sometimes, but for the most part, these bouncers aren't discriminating based on like race or anything like that, or like, it's more, actually, the gayer you are, it's like the more likely you're going to get into some of these clubs. And it's true. Like, some of the clubs are very like gay forward. And so it's less likely for a group of girls to get in than like guys wearing like fucking,
tight, thick spandex.
Yeah, like leather and whips and whatever, stuff like that. But they make this like kind of
to the nines.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a cat of nine tails backdoor leather joke.
Nice.
It's a little too much.
Backdoor Sluts 9 is that? Yeah, nice.
Backdoor Sluts 9, the best video ever.
No, but they really like, they do a good job of like letting people, like, they basically just like suss out people's vibes, and if somebody's like really fucked up, they're like, yeah, you're not coming in.
So the Germans are good cops.
Yeah.
In their clubs.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, we went, so like it was really fun. I met up with a bunch of friends, and we got there like Saturday, And then we all like got dinner Saturday night and then went to bed and woke up super early, like 6 a.m. on Sunday, and then went to this club, Sisyphus. And
At 6 a.m?
at 6 a.m, yeah, which was honestly the best time to go because like I think Friday, Saturday night is like when a lot of tourists go. I mean, we were tourists, but like we showed up and we luckily like knew somebody there who was a DJ there who like got us on this list. And we were so clumsy and so like honestly didn't deserve to be there. Like we almost didn't get let in even though we were on the list. Cause we were so nervous and like, cause everybody hyped this up that these like, that they have all the power and like, you gotta be cool and like, don't have a bad vibe. And we're all just like so nervous. And we get there and they like start speaking to us in German. And instead of just being like, yeah, we don't speak German. Like, can you speak in English? And we're like, I got afraid. Like, are they going to like fucking hate me for not speaking German? So we just all sat there in silence and they're like, English, German? And then we barely got let in after like a whole fiasco. But it was cool. Like everybody in there was just having a good time.
Was this when you were younger? I missed the start.
No, this was this summer.
Nice.
Yeah,
dude. Who'd you get to see in shows over there? Any good bands that you like, or were you just getting into the culture, whatever came your way?
This was like a techno club. So this is like resident DJs at like, so no one, so
you weren't going there for a specific person, I guess then.
No,
gotcha.
No, but then I went to a festival after that and like knew some of the DJs there.
Nice. What festival was that?
It was called Garbage Festival. Not garbage, but garbage is like a Polish word.
Nice. Where is that at?
It's in Garbage Lake, Poland.
That sounds sick. Where, what was that like? Tell me about that. Poland looks cool. All the pictures I see, I'm like, wow, I really put this on my list.
It was a stark contrast to Berlin. Berlin's like this like awesome, like anything goes city. And then you get to Poland and like, it's actually kind of, they're a little more, I think, right leaning there. And like, so you get there, it's like for this like techno festival and like you kind of, clearly people are like, all things go. And so you kind of got to like clench your butt cheeks until you get into the festival and then you're good.
Got it.
But the festival was sick. It was like a 5-day festival, camping. They had a sauna on the property, which was really cool because Europeans love the sauna, and it was a lake. And yeah, it was a lot. It was like a lot to be there for 5 days, and like went through some ups and downs, but then finished on a strong note. It was awesome.
Have you been into music festivals for a while?
I've been to like 4 or 5. Okay. I like techno and house music.
Oh yeah.
But it's a lot to go. Like to go to a festival is like, I mean, to be there for 5 days, that's a lot.
An undertaking. I've never been to a festival because I can't cross that undertaking bridge yet. But
you should try it
someday for sure. Yeah. It seems like a good something with camping.
Yeah,
I like camping. Burning Man.
Yeah. You could, like you just get your feet wet with the big one, Burning Man.
Dude, it's like crazy expensive.
Yeah,
really?
we can't
all facilitated nowadays because it's so popular.
Yeah,
permitting and like it's crazy.
I think it's become one of those things where it's like so disproportionate, where it's the uber rich and the like very, they're the probably the OG Burning Man people that still go every year that maybe don't care about how much money's in their savings account, and then there's these people that are dads and moms or owns companies and they come from wherever to
totally. Well, I think with Burning Man you can do it and you can camp and you can probably do it like affordably, but then there's also people are like, oh, I'll just sign it. I have a camp and we have like air conditioned whatever. I don't know. I'm sure there's ways to spend a lot of money to get there too. I've never been, but
yeah, it sounds like it's a festival in a desert, so that's tough to pull off. It takes resources. Like we found out recently, they were trying to install chargers in South Dakota for the electronic vehicles, and they're like, oh,
YouTube specifically?
A guest was telling me about this.
Oh, I
guess it was like, they're installing these chargers, and we asked, like, how are they gonna, power the resources that are gonna build these charging stations, and then like when the charging stations are here, how are they gonna get the power to keep the charging stations going? Like, oh, we'll have diesel generators. It's like, doesn't that defeat the purpose of having these charging stations out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah,
it's like, if we're gonna have a music festival in the middle of a desolate desert, the rich people are going to win because they're going to bring all the stuff.
Yeah. It does seem like a cool festival, though. I do want to go at some point. I don't know. I'm into that type of music and like that type of, I don't know. I used to go to this festival in like Costa Rica every year. That was like Burning Man adjacent, like not the same people, but kind of similar vibes. And
Costa Rica?
yeah.
Whoa. Where that's in the jungle or what?
Yeah, in the jungle, but you're also really close to the beach. And so you go to this festival and like listen to me, you can listen, like the last night it's tradition to like listen to music all night. And then at like 7 a.m, they open up the gates to the beach and like go out there, go in the water and like we made it, and then
go
crash for a while. But
so are you a world traveler then? You like to travel yourself?
I do, yeah. I like to travel.
Have you been doing that your whole life?
Not my whole life. I just like where I worked in restaurants after college, and then after like 3 or 4 years of that, I went down to South America for 4 months.
Wow.
And
you were
just
like, fuck the system, fuck the service industry.
Fuck society, man.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to, I like really wanted to go to Chile and like Argentina. And especially at the time, you can kind of get down there. Like once you're down there, it's pretty affordable, and like spending $8 a night on hostels and budgeting for like meals and all that stuff, you can get around. I swear, like I didn't have to save that much money for like 4 months of not working and just kind of getting around down there. So
that's pretty cool to know.
Yeah, that was dope.
Were you backpacking around then, just hostel or just
hostel? Yeah, and then like doing like in I did the W Trek in Torres del Paine, which is like the iconic Patagonia like excursion.
Yeah.
So doing a lot of that type of backpacking, and then like hanging out in cities too.
That's so cool, man. I got to get down there.
Did you try any variations of their coca beer?
No, I haven't had coca beer. I've had coca leaf.
How was that? I'm just curious because a lot of people tell me the experiences are actually really cool.
Yeah, coca leaf is cool. It's like it's very stigmatized if you talk about coca leaf here, I feel like.
Oh, you're doing the white man thing.
No, it's just I feel like people are like, oh, coca, because it is the derivative of cocaine. It is, and so people kind of associate it with that, but it's not. It's really just helpful for energy and like I think altitude sickness and stuff like that.
Well, I hear that beer is like crazy. It's like if you feel sick or bad or you just drink one like a pint of that.
Is it a beer that they make ferment with the leaves? Oh wow!
I've actually never heard of that. That's cool. I've had coca tea, but yeah.
I worked with a dude whose wife was from Peru.
Okay.
You would tell me about it. So maybe it's not as common.
Maybe we got to take the pot on the road, man. Let's go down.
Yeah, Lima edition. Huh?
My mother was brewing this stuff, and it was like a miracle.
Let's go. Figure out how much it's going to cost to go to Lima. All right, do your research. Let's figure out a Lima trip and get an interview down there, and we'll make it happen.
Dude, South America's the shit too, because like I don't know, I've traveled a decent amount, but like South America's like right there. It's pretty easy to get to for us, especially if you know where to fly into. And then, it's a cool culture. If you know Spanish, it can go kind of a long way. And I don't know, like so many people want to go to Southeast Asia or Europe or something like that, and it's like, which is awesome, but like it's a pretty far flight. You can get down to places in South America pretty quickly and spend, you don't need to spend months and months down there. You could be down there for a week and still feel like it's worthwhile.
What about the headlines of, the fear-mongering headlines of we will be robbed and killed? And did you experience any of like sketchiness while you were down there? Any of that?
Yeah, I did almost go to Colombian jail, but
can we hear this story? This is an after-hours story. Come on.
Yeah, I will say this too, like like the fear-mongering with like articles, that's like really big in Mexico.
Correct.
Like if you go to like, it's funny, and no matter what your background is stuff like, because like if you're like your family, if they're right on the right or the left, like I've seen like whatever news they've intaked or took in, everybody's like, oh, Mexico, you're gonna get murdered, you're gonna be, but you don't you say you're going to Guatemala or Costa Rica, and they're like, oh, nice, it's it's just like geographically not very far away.
Yeah, it's just like backwards.
Yeah. But I've experienced that with people. Like,
oh, totally. It's exactly what you're saying. Both sides, they're like, Mexico's scary.
Yeah.
And like, if honestly, we leave the resort, we'll die.
Well, that's the thing is if you go to a resort town, you're more likely probably to get like fucked with, because that's where like the most oblivious people go. And so like that maybe is attracting some of that stuff. But like if you go somewhere like Mexico City or like, I just went to Oaxaca, which was cool. You don't feel any sort of sketchiness, I'm sure, I know there is, of course there's like crime and there's cartel stuff happening down in Mexico, but it's very sensationalized,
Definitely. That's a great point.
But
how did you almost end up in Colombia?
Yeah, that's why we're all here. I was in Colombia. I was in Cartagena, Colombia.
Okay. That's a big city, right?
That's like it's like
Mid-sized city?
I
Carta.
thought it was the capital.
it might have been like an old capital. Bogota's the capital.
Okay.
Yeah. Cartagena is like an old, like, it's cool. It's like, well, the cool thing about Colombia too is that it's so like diverse in the way, like you're like in Medellin, you look around and everybody's like Spanish, like looking, like European looking. And then Cartagena is on the coast, like the Caribbean side. So there's like, obviously there's a huge like Afro slave trade there in like the 1800s. So it's just like, it's mostly like African people, you know, in that part of Colombia. So Colombia's got a very like rich history and rich culture, and especially depending on where you go.
I didn't know that. That's cool. I didn't know that there was like a inner diversity within Colombia. I thought, you know, the South American countries were, I knew they were semi-segmented of their diversity within each other, but, you know, within themselves, I knew of only a little spots. So that's good to know.
Yeah. And this is me, like I'm a very like armchair expert on this stuff, but like,
hey, if you've given me the surface level, that gives me the ability to try to dive deeper later. And I appreciate that at the minimum.
But that's Europe. I mean, that's South America too. And people always say, they're like, oh, Europeans in South America, that's all from the Nazis. And
that's just Argentina.
But it's Argentina. But like at the same time, like people have been immigrating from Europe to South America for kind of a long time at this point. And I was in a town in southern Chile. It was like a complete German town. It was like people had immigrated in the like late 1800s, I believe.
Wow.
So pre-World War One, and it like you look around and it's like a bunch of redheaded people.
Huh.
Yeah. In Argentina, there are like certainly German people there. There's mostly like a lot of Italians there. So it's like all around South America, like all these different cultures and backgrounds and stuff like that. Like Brazil, a lot of people from Japan, a lot of people from Africa. It's just cool. It's cool to go down there and kind of experience that. But I was in Cartagena, which is like, it was like I believe like Spanish had colonized it. So you like look at this, like it's like yellow, like architecture, like really beautiful, like old Spanish colonial buildings and stuff like that. And I was like hanging by the water with some friends, and there was a guy selling beers, and we all bought a beer. We watched the sunset, and within 30 seconds of buying that beer, two cops came up to us, and they were like, and they tried to intimidate us too, because they like the group of us, we all like knew Spanish, and I think they kind of assumed we didn't. So they kind of spoke very rapid Spanish, and basically in like what they told us is that like you can't drink publicly here, and one of you will be going to jail. And then they like point to me, and they make a big show of it. Like I knew I was never going to go to jail, but it's still scary because you're like,
so scary. I would be pissing myself.
Yeah, because I also just watched 2 seasons of Narcos, so I'm like,
Just disappear.
yeah, I'm like, oh Jesus, like this is not like, it's still intimidating, but we were kind of holding our ground. They're like, we're like kind of even been asking like, why is that guy selling beer? Why is that guy allowed to sell beer? And you're like, you're fucking with us anyway, but like also trying to be respectful and not get into any hot water. And after like this like 5-minute charade, the guy goes, you know what? It would be so much trouble to take you all the way down to the station. How about we just take care of the fine here? And then it was like, it'll be $150 or whatever the equivalent in Colombian currency was. And yeah, we gave him the money, and it was kind of a weird feeling though. I like walked away. It took me an hour or two to kind of recalibrate after that, because I was like, wow, that was...
You're like, actually, I committed the crime at the very end. I was completely fine.
Yeah.
They were lying about the public intox. It's completely allowed, but I can't bribe a police officer.
Yeah, it was a really weird feeling too, because like even though it was like I knew I was okay, but I was like, the idea of going to Colombian jail, was not
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to have to call my representative from Colombian jail.
But that's the thing is, would you even get a phone call? What's like you're in, you say the wrong thing, you wind up in Colombia jail. You know, we've all seen Prison Break season 3 where they're fucking, you're stuck in the Panamanian prison. Yeah, you have no idea what's,
I would be very, so you're like on edge for an hour, and then you kind of recalibrate, and then are you like straight edge the rest of the trip around cops, or?
Yeah, I mean, I forget what like the interactions with cops, but Colombia, we definitely had the weirdest things happen. Like me and So I was traveling with a group of people I just like randomly met in southern Chile. We just kept bumping into each other like in different countries. Like me, like I met this guy at a hostel in southern Chile, and then we like ran into each other. Like him and this girl he was traveling with, we ran into each other like 4 or 5 separate times.
What?
And by the 5th time, we were like, was when we were towards behind that like Patagonia like national park. And by the 5th time, we were like, should we all just be friends and like travel together? And they floated this idea of they were going to Colombia, and I was like, all right, I don't know where I'm going next. I'll go. And I like a couple weeks later flew to Colombia, had like one of the most wild nights of my entire life, and then met up with them. And then we traveled for like 2 weeks over there.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then like I think we spent this one day / night at this like this beach. It was like a white sand beach in Colombia, and it was like this like spring breaky vibe where we paid like $4 each to sleep in a hammock. On like a white sand beach. You go jump in the water and you could just like taste the gasoline from, there was like hundreds of wave runners. It was like gasoline getting in your mouth. Like, this is a little
That's
much.
why the beach is so white.
And so then I remember the next day we were like, all right, the next day we woke up and we're hanging, we're kind of waiting to get out of there. And I hadn't smoked, like I smoked a lot of weed as a kid. I don't smoke weed anymore, but like I hadn't smoked weed in a long time. And I met these Argentinian guys, and I just happened to smoke weed with these guys. I was like, fuck it, whatever. And I got so high. And then we leave and we go to this parking lot, and we arrange this like ride with this guy driving like a big SUV. And I'm sitting in the front, and I'm like stoned out of my mind. And there's 3 people in the back of my friends. And they were all in the Peace Corps together. And on the drive home, the guy kept making these phone calls and repeating the address of where we were going. And they are all freaking out in the back, and like they're speaking to me in English, saying that was like something they learned in the Peace Corps, that when you're getting kidnapped, that's the thing that the driver will do. They'll repeat the address over and over, and they're like, you need to talk to them. And so I'm stoned out of my mind, like just like trying to make conversation with this driver. And then like they're all freaking out.
What'd you say to him?
I don't even know. I forget. I was just like trying to suss him out, and like
you're like, hey man, what's up with the address?
Yeah, in my like 6th grade level Spanish, you know, like, and just like chat. Like I can speak Spanish, but like, you know, just like I'm not gonna be getting to like you know, human trafficking. That's not like my level of Spanish. And then he just dropped us off at the hotel, and it was all fine. Like one of them had been crying in the back, and like then we get dropped off, and it was like completely fine. And I was like, that was the biggest whirlwind of my life. I was like, this is why I don't smoke weed anymore.
Whoa. That was your last time then?
No, I just listened.
Of course you have to get high before moments like that.
Oh, man.
I was like, yeah, of course, the one time I choose to smoke weed for the first time in a long time, we get into a potential kidnap, which it wasn't, but it was like, the people in the back made it seem like it was.
Thank you, Peace Corps.
Yeah,
big deal out of nothing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Colombia's it's a fun place. It's also I mean, it has like this like huge history of like obviously like if you're familiar with like Pablo Escobar and like you know, the narcotics trade, cocaine and stuff like that, and like so it was a really dangerous place to be for a long time.
Sorry, I haven't heard of him, but I have heard of the CIA.
Yeah. Those pesky rascals, huh?
Hey, there's lots of declassified stuff that proves that we were funding lots of stuff down there.
Yeah.
Destabilizing stuff. We like to do it. It's crazy.
Hey, it's our pastime, you know.
It's our passion project, really. We have all this other stuff going on. We're like, well, but we really love this.
Yeah. Have you seen that? There's a doc on Netflix. It's The Turning Point. It's about the Cold War.
Oh no. On Netflix, okay.
It's like 8 episodes, and it's like about the Cold War, and it starts in World War II and basically ends with our current like situation with Russia. And there's probably one episode dedicated to not everything, but just like a brief rundown of all the meddling we've done in other countries like Guatemala, and where was it? Cambodia, maybe, or
the whole Pol Pot stuff.
Laos.
Dude, yeah, Laos was a big one. I mean, Korea, obviously, Vietnam.
Yeah.
But dude, that for those who are not knowledgeable or well versed in American foreign policy and the effects it's had on the globe, watch that.
Turning Point. on Netflix.
Turning Point, and then something about the bomb or something, I think, in the title. But it's so, I think the Turning Point is like a series, and they do a bunch of different things. But the Cold War, it's so good.
Yeah, they've got 3 of them, I think.
Okay.
One's on nuclear development, one's on the Cold War, and then one's on something else. But
Yeah.
Interesting.
they're great documentaries nonetheless.
And it like it very much goes. And of course, there's probably some slant, there's some bias, but it gives a pretty well-rounded view on a lot of this stuff. And like,
I like shows that you can clearly be like, oh, they took the time to not just make it propaganda.
yeah, totally.
At least it's, maybe it's still propaganda, but there's enough layers in the onion that I didn't quite get down to that propaganda center.
And most of us don't know. Like, I don't remember learning that much about the Cold War in school. So, like, you learn about World War II a little bit. You learn about, like, I don't know, like the Berlin Wall coming down, but like all this stuff in between. And like, just even, I didn't even really understand what the Soviet Union, I was like, was it just one country? It was like, I thought the Soviet Union was like one giant country. And it was more of like one giant nation with a bunch of different countries in it with like their own different governments and stuff like that. And
Yeah, pretty much just like a pact of ethno-Slavic people
yeah.
that have similar religious ideologies that thought that their economy could be stronger together. But yeah,
That bought the myth of socialism. That bought into that communist lie.
Yeah. And so another cool, what I love about that too, and like kind of looping back to what we talked about earlier, but like they go really in depth on propaganda within the Soviet Union and propaganda within the US about the Soviet Union, and then how like at different points, I think it was Soviet Union propaganda that was in somewhere else. Maybe it was like in somewhere else in the Soviet Union or a different country in Europe, and how there was like these fake news articles about like Americans, or maybe vice versa. It was like killing babies. It was like some sort of like crazy story it was obviously like fake stories, right? And it like really ties into how that's happening on social media. Like how often we see like just fake whatever stories, you intake it, you're like, all right, that's a fact.
I think I remember a little bit of what it was like. Our intelligence identified propaganda that was distributed, I think it was in Germany, by the Russians. And then we were like, well, we need to have counter propaganda in Germany to go against what we thought was. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
We're in a propaganda fucking paradox here, folks.
And we're still in it, and that's so when you guys are talking about like fucking aliens and all that stuff, it's like, and I don't know anything about it. It's because I'm so removed from all of this, because I'm so
It's
I'm not even
dystopian propaganda.
Yeah, and I'm just sick of I'm so sick of all these like headlines of like things like, do I really have time to look into this if this is fake or not?
Do you have, and like an interest too, right? Like if it's not giving your life anything, then why would you be putting your time into it, right?
But there's stuff like there's real like I don't even articles that like just slanted headlines and stuff like that are like, this person is the worst person in the world because of this, and like we have these like buzzwords and catchphrases and things that like we use to describe people, whether you're on the right or whether you're on the left or whatever. It's like we just kind of like other these people in a way that like we love to categorize people and then immediately write them off.
And we have a big file folder and we say everyone needs to go in their file.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a file, it's a real problem for the people that do the filing.
Yeah.
They're like, what? What do I do with this? You're not neatly in one of these bins.
That's funny. That's funny that you say file it too, because I have always had this analogy of like flashcards, like people with like, it's like, oh, you're of a certain belief, a certain ideology. You have like a set of flashcards, and you're like, this is what we believe. And like a lot of people like don't even know why they believe something. They just kind of have like a flashcard and like they memorize the key components of those things.
These are the tenets that I go by.
Yeah.
Here at Suncorp Industry or whatever. My goodness. Well, I would encourage people to just dig below that surface level iceberg headline, because no matter where you're getting it, it's probably slanted and it's not the whole thing. And you're probably never going to know the whole thing, but the more you know, the better. Yeah. And at least if you know, or try to think, what I've gotten more out of in life is be like, well, why, even if it's tough for me, be like, well, let me try to construct that side of it in my head. Like, why was that a good argument? Or why is that a good belief to hold? And usually, if you try hard enough, you can come up with something.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's important to like listen to people too, and like, not be so like, I think something I'm trying to do a better job of is just like, yeah, like hearing people out and like listening to people, and like also understand that we're like living inside this huge propaganda machine. So people are really riled up, people are really angry, people are upset, and like just like kind of allowing people to be like that. And then I feel like I don't know, like I'm not super pessimistic about the future, because I think more and more people like want to connect with people, and like while like the internet is so divisive, like I feel like when we're all hanging out in person, it's, you know, we can find things that we agree on.
I've been saying it for a minute now, and I completely agree. I think people on this extreme and this extreme are way more aligned and like each other than they're willing to. They can't get past those 3 stop gaps of resistance to understand it or get to that breakthrough, but they're the same.
Yeah.
So I'm more optimistic the deeper I go to for those same reasons. So I agree.
Yeah, I think so, man.
That's a better way to live too. Why just be sad and down about it all? You know, we're floating in soup in these brains. Come on.
I think the most depressed, like when I look around, especially in the comedy scene, like my friends are the most depressed. I'm like, dude, I know you. I see you posting and like consuming the most social media. I think those people need to like get off social media for a bit, and like, I don't know.
It would help them. Like, I just like on the whole, it's just it's pretty much proven through the studies at this point that it would make them better at it's almost like a recalibration thing, because it's not permanent either, right? You kind of like recalibrate off of social media or whatever, and you're like, the world opens back up to like, oh, I've been worried about shit, it doesn't fucking matter.
And do you really like, I know that it's important to be informed, but like,
no,
does anybody really need to be informed at this point? Like, I know people should be.
You should be informed if you want to be, or if like I'm informed because I want to make humor out of being informed, because my brain will, if it's not informed, it eats itself. So it's like, it has to have something. The only reason it's getting at stuff now is just for funny, because otherwise it's just dark. So it's like, oh, okay.
Is that what you write your jokes about? Like, kind of like,
I wish I could get at that level of stuff. Yeah. I don't know if I'm at that tier of my voice yet with the writing, but yeah. Sort of, maybe. But no, most of my stuff's very silly and stupid. And I've been doing clean stuff I've been working clean, trying to just unintentionally started back out doing it like that, and was like, okay, well, I'm going to keep working at this. You want to
be just so you can kind of get opportunities in like clean spaces and stuff like that. And like,
well, I mean, it's just like, I don't see any issue with at this point working clean. I'm trying to get better at that.
Totally. Well, there is like, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities with clean comedy, and like clean comedy doesn't have to be like lame, you know. It just means, for me, I think it's just like not having to say fuck or pussy or shit, whatever, like every third word, right?
Right. I mean, and I probably shouldn't joke about the Mossad. But, so, you know, so I haven't gotten into that sect of the material yet. Just kidding, folks. I'm going to get you out of here. Thank you for being so generous and coming on the show today.
Yeah, man. Always down. This is super fun.
And I wanted to come back. We forgot the wing review. If you'd like to give us a quick wing rating before we...
Yeah, those are great wings. What do we say? 5 out of 5?
5 out of 5. Perfect. That works. It's whatever the guests... We've gotten 7 out of 7 worms. We've gotten... Rihanna out of 10 with a recent one.
Did you write a book? Is that a book?
Well,
you wrote a book.
This is a great plug. Thank you, Ryan. This is not really a book more than it's a physical meme. You're going to want to pop it open really quick and just kind of give it a quick peruse. Yep, there you go.
Nice. Nice. It's a bunch of blank pages for
you see how small his hands are on the cover?
Nice.
Things Trump knows best, folks. If you want to support the show, all the funds from the book go back to help feed these great guests. And our artist gets paid if you buy the book too. So how about that? Yeah, but yes, it's a physical meme more than an actual book.
Nice. When did you make that?
Last of this year. Yeah, it was an idea 5 years ago after I was like seeing all these blank books for sell to the right. Like, what was it? Reasons to Vote for Democrats was the first one that went viral. It's like New York Times bestseller. And so I was like, glad no one does this for the other side. And then another election cycle came and no one did it. And then Achievements of Kamala Harris went viral this election cycle. And I was like, all right, I have to just do the thing.
Okay. See, this is stuff that I hear, like, I didn't know about this, but now you saying that, I got, like, from a right-wing family member, I got an email about Achievements of Kamala Harris. And I was like, I was like, am I missing something? But like, what is, clearly it's something that they all know about, you know?
So I'm just trying to get like these, and so the zeitgeist of this idea, or the origin, is like, I grew up in the Boulder public school system, and there were these teachers and librarians that were very liberal ladies, and they didn't laugh at anything, and they didn't seem to me like they enjoyed life, and I always wanted to make them laugh.
Yeah.
And I feel like this would make them laugh. So there it is. All right. Well, I'm going to get you out of here. Have you heard of this country called England?
I have, yeah.
Silly little country. They have this thing over there they call knighting. You've heard of this?
Yeah.
Well, here at Top Shelf Studios, I'm doing the hiding. Because all my life, people have been like, how's the weather up there? Can I get a couple inches? You know, and things like this. Because I'm in this vehicle. I've come to learn now I've got this prefrontal lobe. I'm like, oh, I'm in this meat suit every day. I wake up in this brain soup collective consciousness. I'm like, dang, I'm in the vehicle again. And I've looked out in the world and I've been like, oh, we judge each other on these vehicles more than almost anything else in life. And it's like very silly to me. So after a long form conversation, I am just overjoyed to give you a heart height.
Wow.
How tall do you stand physically, Ryan?
I'm 5'10".
Ryan Ergo. I heart height thee 6'5".
Wow.
That's a big heart. Hopefully not too big that you need a procedure.
Look at that. Has anyone been taller than you on this podcast?
Oh yeah, we got a 7-footer club. There's some 7-footers
Nice.
out there, but they're going to need procedures, folks. It's a blessing and a curse. You don't want to be that big of a heart,
Yeah, that's true.
but hopefully you're giving that good heart into the world. Where can people check you out? I know you run a show in town. Where can people follow you?
Yeah, I'm Ryan _Ergo on Instagram. I run a show at the Corner Beet, second Wednesday of every month, and then 2 shows at the Thin Man Tavern in Uptown. That's second and fourth Thursdays. You can check out Kuhl KUHL _shows on Instagram. We got a page where we got a bunch of events there. So
Hell yeah. Check him out. I want to ask if there's any chance of like in the near, maybe 6 months, a year future, I want to try to do a guest at the Thin Man because I saw a picture of Sammy Anzer on stage.
yeah,
And I think I'm too big for the room.
dude. Yeah, come on, dude.
I think
yeah.
I might break the room. Be the
For
first
sure.
person to break it. I'm just too tall to do the room.
We've had a couple of people like their heads are scraping against the ceiling. So yeah, we'll definitely have you on there. That'd be fun.
How tall are they? Yeah, am I too tall for the room?
No, you don't have to. You. I don't know. I know Joel Vernon and Mitch Jones.
You're just like,
Yeah, I'm like Mitch Jones. I'm like an inch taller than Mitch.
Okay, so you probably you could stand in there. You might have to hunch, but we could also give you a stool.
Oh, dude, that'd be hilarious. They'd be
Yeah.
like,
just like, is there like exposed piping up there or anything like that?
Maybe, yeah.
You just put your
You could just get on. Honestly, you could just
Get on my knees.
Yeah, get on your knees.
Get on my knees. There it is.
pads.
Well, folks, I'm on my knees begging you. Please like and subscribe and follow Ryan. Go see his show. Support his comedy. Thanks for being here, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Fuck off and be well.